Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of whatever this is. Today, I'm going to be trying out a new primer. Now, this is a primer that has gone relatively viral, and a lot of people talk about it. In fact, I've only heard good things about it. I've kind of tried it a little bit here or and there, but I have not done like a full wear test with it, and I wanted to see how it held up relative to some other primers that I use. So this is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Blur Out Smoothing Primer. It has some really interesting properties to it that I'm really excited to explore, and it's cool to see some innovation continue in the primer space. I feel like primers are kind of the thing that people are trying to do the most with to make them more interesting, to make them to make them more innovative. So the first piece of this is that you get this little spoon that comes out of the top that tucks right in there and clicks in. So when you go in to get some of the primer, you can keep your fingers clean. This is really nice. However, if you're going to dip back in, you want to sanitize the spoon so that you're not dipping a spoon into the primer. So that's one really cool thing about this primer. This is, they talk about what they have in it. So it has, so it says it hydrates and blurs with a cooling sensation, enhanced with hyaluronic acid, 3% niacinamide, and 5% glycerin. And then it tells you how to use it. So it looks like this. You can see that I have used it a little bit. The texture is not what I've typically used in a primer. It's very moussey. It's almost like the texture of like partially melted sherbet. If I can, if I can explain that at all. But it does have that slickness, that you will, experience. So let's go ahead and dip into this and, just see what it looks like. Now, when I've seen a lot of people dip into this, you can see I've gotten into it quite a bit, but you really don't need that much. It's a very thin formula. And so this is how much I usually get for my whole face because of its blurring properties. Now, before I apply this to my face, I am going to apply another primer. I usually double up my primers because of my skin concerns, and I feel like it's not fair to put all of my skin concerns on one primer when I usually do two. So I'm going to use my MAC Mattifying 12-Hour Shine Control. So it doesn't make any promises about shine control. So if you are a little bit more oily and your makeup does tend to break down, having something that does have some shine control can help with that. So I'm just using a little bit of that in places where I tend to get oily. Really don't need a lot. I really love this MAC primer, and I'm so glad that someone at Ulta really turned me on to it because it's so good, and I've just had such good luck with it. So now that I have that, I'm going to take the primer from Milani, and it at first kind of feels kind of like cake frosting, like really thin cake frosting. And I'm going to use my fingers to kind of rub it together because when I apply it, I want it to go on my face very thinly. I don't want like to really like load up. When I've seen some people apply it, I've seen them just like put quite a bit on, and I don't feel like with any blurring primer that adding a lot of um primer to the area is particularly helpful. So I'm just kind of pressing this in, kind of doing like a little press and rub action, and just on the areas where I want to have that coverage for blurring larger pores. Gosh, so many cars starting literally right there. Now, in my experience wearing this has not made me break out, which is a huge, huge important thing for me because I break out in a lot of products, especially from the drugstore, because they tend to use alcohol or something that breaks my skin out. And I have not had any breakout issues from this. So I'm really, really thankful for that. And so that's a big bonus to me right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my makeup normally. I'm going to apply my foundation. I am with a wet beauty sponge, and then I'm going to apply my powders. I don't feel like I would be giving a primer a like it's literally like how like this never happened since right there. Um, then and like it's already dry on my fingers. Like I don't have really much texture at all on my fingers of the primer. It does have that slight cooling effect, which is really nice. I wouldn't say like, oh, my face is so cool. It's just it's slightly cooling, but the fact that I warmed it up in my hands probably diminished some of that impact. It does kind of mattify um, and smooth out. I can definitely see some blurring already, and feel a difference on my face, which is a big deal. So now that I've applied the primers, I'm going to apply my foundation, my powders, just like I normally do. And because I feel like it wouldn't be fair to change one variable and then just like hope that it like everything else my makeup changed as well. So I will be doing like my full powder routine and everything, and see how this lasts with the rest of my makeup. So we'll check in at the end of the day or whenever I decide to stop wearing this. If I need to powder and check in or something like that, we can do that. So let's see how this works. I hope it is just as good as I um, I'm crossing my fingers for it, because Milani, the Conceal and Perfect line, I mean, I really, this is my favorite foundation. So, so to have it pair with the concealer that, sorry, with the primer, it would seem like that would be kind of how they formulated it, but fingers crossed, and, we'll check in a little bit. Okay. Bye. Okay, so it's been about probably 30-ish minutes. I put the rest of my makeup on, and already I can see that places that I typically have some issues with, that I applied the primer with, I'm not having as many issues. You can still see my texture. It's there. I mean, like, it's a blurring primer, not a like erase your skin primer, so that's totally fine. But I think from like, I mean, I'm like really well lit right here, and you can't see a lot of that texture where I placed it. I have this one little spot right here where like makeup just like goes to die, and the makeup has not settled into that little pockmark, and it's actually staying in that area, which is pretty different, I would say, from other primers that I've tried. So that is like something that is very notable. I'm not getting oily, like I have a little bit of shine in those areas, but those are places where I get oily anyways. But I'm not to the point where like I can like press and like get that like removal of makeup. Like when I tried the soft matte glam, whatever, soft satin glam glow, whatever from Elf. Like it's not like that. It's definitely just like a subtle glow. It's not anything oily. My makeup does not feel um in any way like it's going to come off. And I haven't even set it with a setting spray or a fixing spray. So that's pretty notable. I did do my lower lashes with the little lash stamp. Um, and what I did instead, so like this side didn't go as well, but this side went better. What I did instead of using the the black stamp thing that it came with is I just used an eyeliner, a liquid eyeliner that I don't love that much, admittedly. I kind of don't like it at all. And I have the Kimchi Beauty felt tip eyeliner. I just don't really like felt tips, so it's not. There's nothing wrong with the product itself. It's just the delivery mechanism that I'm not really in love with. But I have this eyeliner, so I was like, well, why don't I just use that? And I did that. I could have also put my gel liner on there, but it worked out a lot better. Getting the right amount of product on there is still difficult, but so I'll continue to wear this. We'll see how it works out, and I'm always like a little sad that this lip doesn't show more show more brown than it is. This is the L'Oreal Paris. It's a liquid lipstick that's supposed to dry down, and it's brown. It's straight up brown, and then you put on your lips, it's kind of purple. I want brown. Give me brown. But anywho, this is more makeup than I normally wear, but for wear tests, I wanted to go all out. So, anyways, yeah, let's see how this wears, and yep, I'll keep you up to date. Okay, so it's about 3 o'clock, and it's been several hours since I applied my foundation. So I'm going to take my glasses off, which I haven't been wearing the whole time, but I have been wearing for most of the time. Quite a bit of foundation on the glasses themselves, but I don't really see. Actually, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. The makeup has removed itself from my nose pretty significantly. And right here, so these are the main points where I applied the primer. Now these are places that I get oily anyways. So again, I can't hold it against a primer for doing something that like literally every other primer does. And usually I will do a touch up. Now this Milani primer is supposed to be blurring, and so looking at like pore size, I feel like my pores look pretty good here, considering that they are like moon crater sized. However, on my forehead, it does not really help my texture. Like my texture on my forehead looks pretty much as bad as it does any other time. But here, it's working really well. On the forehead, for whatever reason, and maybe it's because it like on my cheeks the texture goes in, and on my forehead the texture goes out. I don't know. However, I'm going to repowder these places and see if we can make this work. So I think I put it on my nose as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to take a clean side of the sponge and just kind of blend out the little nose divot creases and then give those a good old powdering. So I'm gonna let that sit for a little bit. I put quite a bit of powder on, and then I'm gonna brush off any excess. I'm gonna brush off any excess, and then I will check back in with you in a couple of hours. I don't think that it is doing a bad job by any means. I think that this primer is doing a good job, which is why I've reached for it a couple times before doing the wear test, even though I wanted to do the wear test first. I just think that for whatever reason, the forehead, where like I said, that my texture goes out rather than in, maybe the primer was really suited for, like, it was developed for pores and texture like that, and it was not really made for texture that was three-dimensional. But I don't know. So yeah, so I will keep you updated. Let's see. So it is now later, and we are coming to the end of the wear test. My lips did not pass the wear test, but they never quite do with this particular lip color, and because it's just not my favorite. But I just like brown lip colors. I Overall, I would say that I like this primer. I think that it's got some things that I like that I don't get out of other pore filling, like blurring, like those types of primers, that it really did do throughout the day. And then some things that I'm like, okay, well, I need to adjust where if I wear it in the future, which I'm planning to because I do like it. Um, I would say that the biggest pro for me is that underneath here, where you can see some kind of luminosity coming through in this little triangle area underneath my eyes, is that while you can see texture, while you can see my pores are huge. And so normally at this time of the day, and actually way earlier in the day, either my makeup is completely broken up or my pores have gone from being moonlight craters to being even worse than they were before, with a lot of pore filling primers and blurring primers. And this actually did the job. I do like the Secure the Blur from One Size Beauty. However, I feel like this kind of serves a slightly different purpose, whereas that is purely for the blur. This is doing a good job um, at keeping my pores looking smaller, and in places where they truly are very large, and I'm super happy that it looks as good as it does right now. Um, it is, it is, if I touch it, it does feel oily, so the oils are coming through my skin. If I just wore my MAC by itself, I would be a little less oily, and while I would have still probably had to blot once, I wouldn't be this oily after having to blot. But the MAC does nothing to reduce pore size or do any blurring. And I think I mentioned it earlier, how I have this like one pore that like just does not accept makeup and it will just like totally reject it. and it's like a pinpoint that just like won't have any makeup on at the end of the day, or a couple hours into wearing makeup, and this kept it on. It My makeup is not breaking down or anything like that. It's smooth, in the sense of the foundation formula keeping its composition on my face, if that makes sense. You can see some of the texture, and that's just kind of a reality for me. I don't find much that completely erases that texture, but part of doing wear test, wearing makeup, looking in the mirror, and evaluating a product's quality is being realistic about what it will look like. I can't look at a product that's pore filling and something like that and be like, oh, it's going to look like I have no pores the entire time I wear it, and that's it. Like, I'm not going to look like I just have like no pores at all, because I do have very large pores on my face. So that part, for me, I have to have realistic expectations for what that's like. The part of the with this wear test, something that I did find is, even though I did powder my forehead and the bridge of my nose, which makeup did come off again on the bridge of my nose from where I was wearing my glasses. I took them off right before filming this, but but makeup did stay on the rest of my nose, which isn't always a guarantee. In fact, if I am wearing something that's silicone based on my nose, generally the makeup does not last on my nose, and it slides right off for most silicone products, and most blurring products. But this actually kept the makeup on my nose, except in that spot where I had my glasses sitting on my nose. So if you do wear glasses, just something to consider. I have heard that there's tricks on keeping makeup on that area, which I do really want to try, but I always forget to do them and just slap my glasses on when I'm going to wear them, and I don't think about doing all the steps to secure that. However, one thing that I don't think that I will be using this primer for is my forehead. If I just use the MAC product by itself, the MAC primer, I would have a lot less shine in my forehead, which would reduce the texture, which would reduce the appearance of texture on my forehead. Whereas, because I put both of the products on, I did end up getting more oily, even with blotting a couple hours into wearing the makeup. So I actually think that this product reduced the effectiveness of the MAC Meta Shine product on my forehead. And I think that because, and it's so strange that a blurring product would work for texture that goes in but not out. But that might just be the fact that this texture tends to appear more when it gets shiny relative to texture that goes in, like a large pore. But like I said, the fact that it stayed in the spot where I can't keep makeup on is impressive and should be noted. And it is very cooling when you put it on. The cooling effect goes away almost immediately. So it's not like you're going to feel like cool, like breeze on your face all day long. Like, wouldn't that be nice? But it is a very quick effect that dissipates. I would suggest applying it really thinly by putting it between your fingers and kind of going like this to warm it up, which again is going to reduce some of that effect, and then really just pressing and patting it into the places that you want to reduce that texture. And I wouldn't put this all over because I just don't feel like there's a need to put this primer in places where you don't have larger pores. But overall, I'm very happy with how it looks. It there's there were a lot of opportunities for this makeup to look a lot worse than it did, and I'm happy with how it stayed on. And the rest of my makeup kind of stayed with the program, except my lips, and that's fine. That's fine. It's a learning process. The fact that it stayed on my nose, big deal. I'm super happy with that. Again, it still feels oily. You know, if I touch any of these parts of my face, they all feel oily, but my forehead feels like a slip and slide. And so my forehead definitely did not like this as much as the rest of my face. So that's okay. Just something to experiment with. And I did not have a very active day. I was planning to have a very active day to really put this primer through the ringer, but I ended up staying inside and just kind of doing some stuff around the apartment today. So I didn't get any like sweating or like this makeup, you know, really, really doing some crazy things. But it's still a long time to wear makeup. Your face heats it up and you do produce oils in your face, regardless of whether or not you're going around town or you're in your apartment making a bunch of videos. So yeah, I like it, and I think I'm going to keep using it. I'm just not going to use it on my forehead because I don't think that with the texture on my texture type on my forehead, this is a primer for it. But otherwise, the Milani Conceal and Perfect uh, blurring primer, I think it's great. I like the innovation. I like the feel of it. The moussey texture of it is very different. And yeah, I guess that's the wear test. So if you have tried this product, let me know what you think. If you've not tried this product and you're curious, I hope this helped inform you and informed you on just kind of what it's like and can help you make an informed decision on whether or not this product is right for you. If you have drier skin, then I think it'll work really well. But drier skin tends to not have larger pores, but that does not mean that it is an exclusive one-to-one. Like, you can have large pores and have drier skin. So I hope this helped, and yeah, let me know what product you'd like me to try next. Bye.